There have been multiple cast members of The Rookie who have left the show and are no longer around. Some of them only lasted one season, whereas others left after a multiple season run. And in this video, we are going to talk about every cast member who left, their story, and why they left the show. The first cast member to ever leave the show on their own terms was Afton Williamson, the actress for Talia Bishop. Afton joined the show at the beginning of its run, starting in the pilot episode. She was in every single episode of the first season. But then when the second season started, she was never to be seen again. People wondered where she went and why she disappeared seemingly at random. The show never put out a statement on why she left. They only said that she quit the LAPD and moved to being a special agent. This was after the information involving her foster brother started to come out, where her foster brother was a convicted felon. She left him off the list of her siblings on her LAPD application, because if you're a part of the LAPD, you can't have any felon family members. But behind the scenes, the reason, or should I say reasons, that Afton Williamson left the show were a lot more complicated. On August 4th, 2019, a month and a half before the second season premiered, she put out a post on Instagram that told everybody why she was leaving the show and would never return. And the reasons that she gave really put the show, its crew, and its cast on blast. The post starts with, "I will not be returning for season 2 of The Rookie. I owe it to you, my amazing fans, to share the truth." She then cites her first reason for leaving, which was that she felt that she was discriminated against because of her race. "I experienced racial discrimination / racially charged inappropriate comments from the hair department and bullying from executive producers." She expanded on this later down in the post, and the racist commentary and bullying from the hair department head, Sally Siganovich, escalated into sexual assault at our rap party. Afton said that even though all of this was reported to the showrunner, the incident remained undocumented and was not brought to HR, even though he promised that it would. According to her, Siganovich was fired, but this was after an entire year of Afton having to deal with the racially charged language while in the trailers. Continuing on to her next point, she laid out a very heavy accusation against one of her co-stars, Demetrius Gross, the actor for Detective Wolf. It continued along with sexual harassment from a recurring guest star, Demetrius Gross. She goes further into it later on, stating, "After my initial reports of sexual harassment, I was assured that Gross would be fired. However, Afton claims that she was asked to film scenes with him the very next day, despite them not starting on those episodes, which meant that they had time to switch things around. But then, at the end of the season, she saw Gross's name on the call sheet. And this is where Alexi admitted that he was not fired and that HR wasn't ever even involved. In the post, she says that she was asked to return this season and promised that everything was handled. The problem was that season 2 already started filming, and the investigation hadn't even started. She knew that this is going to be an ongoing issue, and so she quit right then and there, and she was never seen on the show again. Obviously, when these accusations came out, the entire Rookie fanbase was shocked. This info going public also brought in a few law firms to investigate what happened. During the investigation, they conducted 400 hours of interviews and went through days worth of footage to find evidence of this. Unfortunately for Afton, the allegations she made didn't have any evidence, and therefore nothing was going to happen. She was heartbroken by this and claimed that the producers covered up the truth. To this day, we'll never know if the accusations were true or false, as just because there was no evidence doesn't exactly mean some of what she said wasn't actually true. She hasn't posted on social media in over 5 years now and hasn't acted since, and I hope that she's doing well now. Moving on to our next actor who voluntarily left the show, Titus Macken Jr., the actor for Jackson West. I've talked about his story in previous videos, but I've never went really in depth into the specifics of things, so that's what we're going to do now. Titus was also on the show from the beginning with the pilot, but the difference between him and Afton was that he went on past the first season, as he was in the entirety of the first 3 seasons of the show before he decided to part ways. However, their reasons for leaving are not exactly entirely different. This next part is going to go over a lot of American politics. Let's go back to early 2020. The BLM movement started to gain momentum due to the killings of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor going viral online. These two were just mere examples of the many individuals who were being killed by police officers at the time. But these two going viral lit a spark into the movement and turned this topic into a mainstream talking point, especially with everyone being at home and constantly being online. There was no hiding from the fact that this was a serious issue, and for a cop show like The Rookie, it was almost guaranteed that they were going to have to tackle it eventually, especially with season 2 airing during the rise of the movement. Titus started to become concerned about if he could continue playing his part in the show, being a black man himself. He felt that it was a moral conflict, and he was going to leave the show right then and there, but the showrunners didn't want him to leave. They begged him to continue doing the show, and this is when a negotiation type thing started to begin. Titus, alongside Richard T. Jones, the actor for Lieutenant Gray, went to the showrunners with a request that they cover racial discrimination and police brutality in the show, and the show agreed to do so. But Titus decided that he wanted more than just a plot. The entire third season needed to center around this, and Titus said that if they did this, he would continue to play Jackson in the show for future seasons. As the show didn't want to lose another one of their main cast, they agreed to this. Season 3 then started to air, and the biggest plot line of the season was about Jackson's new training officer, Doug Stanton, played by Brandon Routh. This new training officer was written to be an overly racist cop who had a prejudice against black citizens. This would put Jackson in danger throughout the episodes and put him in a moral dilemma, similar to the one that he was dealing with in real life. After an incident where West was badly beaten by several criminals and Stanton just sat and watched, Stanton was put on leave and transferred to another department. This would not save Stanton though, as West would then go to that department and show them the same footage. That was the main story involving race in the third season, but this wasn't the only one. The show leaned into the movement throughout the entire rest of the season, as new elements were introduced, such as the character of James Murray. This season was extremely controversial during its airing, as people believed the themes were too over the top and in the face of the viewers. But the show was ready to get back to how they previously wrote it, and they were starting to write for season 4. However, Titus thought about it for a while and decided that the show still didn't do enough to keep him on the show. So he went to the showrunners and told them that he was going to be leaving anyways. This caused the writers to have to go back and write him out of everything, as well as give his character an extremely unsatisfying exit. A 10-second scene where Jackson is shot in the back by La Fiera's crew. What's even worse is that this was a stunt double and not Titus playing Jackson, as he left before they could record a proper send-off. This made fans upset since they thought he could have at least just returned for a better ending to his character. After The Rookie, Titus took a long break from acting, and he started focusing on his music career. He did make an attempt to return to acting, however, looking at his IMDb page, it shows that he has not been in many projects since his departure, showing he's only been in one project in the last 3 years. His music career unfortunately shows similar results, as looking at his YouTube page for his music, his top song has 109,000 views, where all of the others are under 100,000. So unfortunately, it looks like Titus's career took a massive hit overall after his departure from the show. Now we head on to the first actor who left the show where it wasn't entirely his decision. True Valentino, the actor for Aaron Thorson. Aaron was introduced in Season 4, Episode 2, 5 Minutes as a new rookie, and he was a recurring character for the rest of Season 4 and became a main character for the entire 5th and 6th seasons. However, when teasers of Season 7 started dropping, fans were noticing that Aaron wasn't in any of them. People became concerned that Aaron was being kicked off from the show, and unfortunately, their suspicions were correct. Aaron Thorson was not going to return for the 7th season. True went on his Instagram story on August 9th, 2024, and talked vaguely about his departure, saying that it was such an amazing opportunity and that he felt so lucky to have had the last 3 seasons, thanking the fans for being the best. What had people very confused though was the end. You never know who may pop back up in the Mid-Wilshire precinct. Until then, 7 Adam 19, this is Aaron Thorson over and out. This told people that unlike Jackson a few seasons earlier, Aaron wasn't going to be killed off, and that there may be something more to the story. Later on, Alexi Hawley came out and explained why Aaron Thorson wasn't returning. He said that it was for creative reasons, and that he believed that Aaron's story had come to an end. But he did tell us that the door was open for True to come back and play as Aaron again in the future. True Valentino is a great actor, and he was a huge part of our show for several seasons, and we'd love to have him back in some capacity. He also confirmed that he was still alive in the Rookie universe. When season 7 started, we found out that Aaron transferred to North Hollywood. Unfortunately, as of right now, we still have no idea if True will ever come back to be Aaron. And that disappoints me a lot personally, because Aaron is and always will be my favorite character in the show. Hopefully what they said about the door being open is true and we can see him again one day. Now to talk about Mercedes Mason, the actress for Captain Zoe Anderson. She also wasn't around for very long, as she was only around for the first 16 episodes of the show before her sudden death in season 1 episode 16, Greenlight. This episode is consistently praised as one of the best episodes in the show, but despite that, fans still don't understand why she was killed off in the first place. Not only was it so early into the show, but it was also abrupt. Just the episode before, there was no indication that she would have been permanently killed off. And then the next, she's gone, just like that. Interestingly, Mercedes never actually spoke out about why she left the Rookie. The most she ever did was live tweet during the episode, "I just want to say thank you guys for being supportive of the show and me." However, there was clearly no bad blood, given that she returned for a flashback scene involving Nolan, Lucy, and Jackson graduating from the academy. But the question still remained, why? Alexi Hawley came out after the episode aired about the reason, where he revealed that it wasn't always the plan that she was going to be killed off. We went back and forth about it in the writer's room, but it unfortunately felt like the most dramatic and powerful way to impact our story. It's heartbreaking, but the stakes of this new life Nolan has chosen are all too real, and we can't run away from them creatively. So the reason for her departure was purely for creative reasons, and they wanted to impact Nolan as much as possible early on, as at this point of the show, he is still considered the central character. Or that's what everyone thought was the reason that she left. She also left the show because of her newborn baby. In an Instagram post that she made on May 12, 2020, over a year after her departure, she talks about her experience on the show while dealing with this newborn baby. "I was on set of The Rookie and could barely keep my eyes open or remember my lines. Leaked through shirts due to milk production. Hated myself and felt guilty for leaving Chaos even for a moment." So while this was not initially shared by either Mercedes nor the show, we later found out that this was another reason that her departure came so early. Those were the 4 cast members to leave the show and why they left. Make sure to subscribe to see more videos like this one. Thanks for watching.